Hello queens, angels, and goddesses. Welcome back to my channel. Warning: this contains boy love, and if you don't like it then please get off my channel. Water pistol. Grinning face with cowboy hat. It was a Sunday morning, and Hanamaki was ready to stuff his mouth with food in the kitchen. He opened the refrigerator and frowned when he saw nothing but water and a few condiments. He moved to the cupboards in hopes of finding cup noodles, but there was none. He turned to their living room, where Matsuhana was lying silently while looking at memes on his phone. Hanamaki walked up to him and laid on top of his boyfriend. "We don't have food." "Lying on top of me won't feed you," Matsuhana said as he strokes his boyfriend's light brown locks. Hanamaki looked up at him and said, "You're a meal though." "I won't deny that," Matsuhana said and chuckled while running his hand through Hanamaki's hair. "Do you wanna go and buy groceries before we starve to death?" Hanamaki groaned and buried his face on his boyfriend's chest. "But you make a good pillow." Matsuhana chuckled and kissed Hanamaki's head before pushing him off him. "Matsuhana Issei, what the fuck?" Hanamaki said and got up. The middle blocker just ignored him and stood up to walk to their room. "You've been spending too much time with Oikawa. You're slowly turning into him," Matsuhana teased, making the outside hitter groan before he mumbles curses under his breath. They arrived at the supermarket after Matsuhana forced Hanamaki to get ready. They were pushing one of the carts when Hanamaki holds Matsuhana's hand. "I want to get in," he said while looking at the cart. Matsuhana clicked his tongue and shook his head. "No, you're a grown-ass man. You can't act childish." Hanamaki rolled his eyes and said, "You want to be the one to get inside, don't you?" Matsuhana nodded, making Hanamaki chuckle. "But Issei," Hanamaki whispered seductively as he trails his hands on Matsuhana's abs. "What?" Matsuhana asked, unbothered, as he watches his boyfriend. "You have a better build than me. I can feel it in your abs," Hanamaki continued as his hands moved towards his chest then to his shoulder. "You can't let a noddle-legged man like me, who has lanky arms, push you in the cart, will you?" Hanamaki asked as he bats his lashes. Matsuhana scrunched his nose as he says, "You learned this from Oikawa, didn't you?" His question didn't receive an answer. Hanamaki continued to bat his lashes in an attempt to convince his boyfriend, but Matsuhana just said, "Stop giving me googly eyes." Hanamaki frowned and smacked his boyfriend's arm. "Fuck you, that was me giving you pretty eyes." Matsuhana laughed while the outside hitter squints his eyes at him. "Come on, let me get in." "No," Matsuhana answered, letting the word roll out of his tongue in a prolonged manner before he starts pushing the cart again. Hanamaki groaned before chasing the middle blocker, wrapping his arms around one of Matsuhana's. "What if I reward you later tonight?" Hanamaki suggested. Matsuhana raised his eyebrow and said, "Get in." Hanamaki laughed and got in the cart, letting his boyfriend push the cart around the supermarket. People were staring as they walked in, but neither of them cared. They just ignored the judging and confused eyes that looked at them as they proceeded to the aisles they needed to go to. "What do we need?" Matsuhana asked as they looked through the bread aisle. Hanamaki grabbed whatever he thought he wanted to eat as Matsuhana pushes the cart, stopping to check something that piqued his interest. "Stop filling the cart with random shit," Matsuhana said as he pushed the cart to the dairy aisle. Hanamaki shrugged and rested his arms on the sides of the cart. "You're paying anyway, Mr. Funeral Director." Matsuhana squinted his eyes at the man looking up at him from the cart. "If you end up finding the job you love, and you settle, I'll make you pay for months' worth of groceries." "Ouch, if you say that, then I'll date Sakusa Kayumi," Hanamaki responded. Matsuhana stopped and looked down at Hanamaki, making the man in the cart raise his head to look at Matsuhana. Matsuhana had a serious expression on his face, eyebrows raised, and eyes squinted. "Why?" Hanamaki laughed and answered, "You look like him. All I need to do is add moles on your forehead." Matsuhana quickly lets go of the cart and turns his back on Hanamaki. The browhead outside hitter laughed before yelling, "Don't worry, I still and will always love your ass, Matsuhana Issei." Matsuhana could feel his face heating up. He quickly snapped towards Hanamaki, who was grinning at him, not minding all the eyes watching him. Matsuhana groaned and quickly walked back to Hanamaki, pushing the cart to a different aisle. I hate you, Matsukawa said as he walks towards the cereal aisle. Hanamaki laughed as he says, sure, you do. Matsukawa was letting Hanamaki fill their cart with random things they saw in the various aisles they've passed by. They were about to buy some vegetables when Hanamaki pointed towards something with an excited expression on his face. Hurry, Issei, Hanamaki commanded, making Matsukawa groan, but the latter obliged anyway. Hanamaki took 2 pairs of white-framed mean glasses and made Matsukawa wear the other one. Damn, these look good, Matsukawa, as he looks at Hanamaki, who was wearing the same glasses he had on. I know, Hanamaki said proudly as he brings out his phone. They took a selfie and sent it to their Seijo group chat before they ran around the supermarket, taking mean photos on every deserted aisle, the task of buying groceries being forgotten. After a few hours of goofing around, they decided to buy cup noodles, protein shakes, meat, and vegetables, after calling Iwaizumi to ask about meat and veggies. They arrived home with numerous bags, placing it on the kitchen table before letting themselves plop on the couch to rest. Matsukawa had his arms resting on the couch back while Hanamaki had his arms around Matsukawa's waist. You sure make a good pillow, Hanamaki whispers while leaning on Matsukawa's shoulder. The middle blocker hummed and watched his boyfriend slowly drifting off to sleep while resting his head on his shoulder. Take a good nap, Matsukawa whispered and placed a kiss on Hanamaki's head. Sundays sure are pretty chill, is all Matsukawa could think of as he carries his boyfriend to their room for them to nap. Warning: this fanfiction does not belong to me, neither does the fan art. Credits to the original artist and author to the fan art and the fanfiction. Haikyuu does not belong to me either. Well, bye children, smiling face with hearts.